Realizing we had been given godlike powers, we immediately set to work using the frick out of them. It was always just one person at a time, at first, subtly jiggling their cursor or erasing a few letters in a document. Finally came to a head when we turned Safe Search off and forced a girl to watch One Guy, One Jar, and she completely lost it. Our teacher was completely oblivious that we were the culprits and sent a message to the principal that someone had infiltrated the school's network. Meanwhile, my partner and I got off scot-free. I don't think that girl was ever the same after she saw a man insert the glass jar into his bunghole and shatter it with his sphincter. Oh boy, that's pretty cool. I don't know if I can condone what these guys did, especially to a middle school girl, but since we're on the topic of One Guy, One Jar, I'll bring up some related horrific internet videos from back in the day. If anyone has seen or heard of Kids in the Sandbox, you'll know that's another very disturbing video involving a wooden rod of some sort being inserted into a man's wiener. Pleasurable for some, the guy in the video apparently, but disturbing for most. Anyway, one time in gym class, they asked us to brainstorm team names and give a description of why you chose the team name, and the best team name would get bonus points or, I don't know, extra recess, something like that. Anyway, we came up with the name, Kids in the Sandbox, and we wrote it off as a bunch of kids just using the gymnasium as their playground and playing in the sandbox, some dumb thing like that. And they thought it was so clever, they gave us the award. It was perfect because if the gym teachers knew what we were talking about, they certainly couldn't bring it up, so they just had to pretend like they didn't know. And if they didn't know, then their obliviousness was also very fun, so it was a win-win. Story 3. We had Windows XP at school and could only use the guest user to do work and stuff. BIOS was password protected, but it had a floppy seek at boot. So I made a bootable floppy, copied command line bar on it, stole save file from system folder. Later on at home, brute forced the password for 8 hours. On the next day, everyone could log in as an admin and install all kinds of stuff. This went on for about a month until someone found out. IT techs and teachers were ticked off. No one ratted me out though. I was kind of a hero. Story 4. We had a principal who was German. She had one of those school rhymes, and it went, "Nighthawks in the house, swoosh swoosh." When she got to the swoosh part, she would almost do the Nazi salute with her hand. So this was a joke among the whole school, despite her insisting it was wrong to make fun of her. One day we walked into the computer lab, and every desktop background was a picture of her saluting with a bright red and yellow background with "Obey" in big bold letters. Even the teacher started cracking up laughing. It was brilliant. After that, she started changing the way she would do the swoosh part of her chant. For the record, she was a great principal, and we all loved her. Story 5. When I was in the 12th grade, all the computers ran Windows XP. Fellow classmates were crazy for Minecraft. One day in computer lab during lunch, I saw an open computer. I walked over and opened Notepad and entered the code for deleting System 32. I then changed the icon to Minecraft, named it Minecraft.exe, and put it on the shared drive. The next day, about 22 computers became bricked. No one ever found out it was me. Man, these kids are getting pretty advanced. When I was in school, I think the worst thing I did to a computer was touch a magnet to the screen. And I only ever thought to do that in the first place because the teachers told us not to do that. So of course I had to do it to see what the book was all about. Story 6. I filled 967 gigabytes of around 1.2 terabytes on the shared school server with different pictures of shoeholes. I got called into the office for it, and they found out it was me. They made me open up my account so they could see the picture I was trying to hide. My parents were called in and everything. When I got there, at first I had no idea what was going on. I'll never forget my dad's face when he found out. It was a mixture of confusion and upset. Still totally worth it 5 years later. Long live shoehole. Story 7. Computers were all on the same network. Big school, about 2,800 students, approximately 150 computers on it, including faculty computers. We learned the ability to use NetSend Lab 208, or whatever computer a friend was on, and we could send messages, basically texting. This evolved to us cheating on certain tests for some of our classes. Never got caught. But near the end of the year, the drafting and design teacher was doing a presentation to about 150 students, and someone sent a message to her computer. It popped up on her screen. I wasn't a part of the presentation. I was told the message was harmless, but after that, the network admins changed some settings, and we weren't able to do it anymore. It was a good run, though. Also, removing the trackballs from the mice. Story 8. We would take a screenshot of the desktop as it is, then delete all the icons off the desktop, and then make the screenshot we took the wallpaper. Watch people futilely click on the wallpaper and enjoy. Edit. Something else we'd try on occasion, since we were in graphic design class and had access to the necessary programs, besides Paint, was create fake Windows warning or dialog boxes. We'd make them say things like, delete computer, delete hard drive, or something else totally obnoxious like that. Then we'd just remove the no option, or make both the options say yes. When it was done, we'd add it to the wallpaper that's already on the computer, so that it looks like it's a real dialog box that's popped up on the screen. This only worked once or twice that I remember. I think we fooled the programming teacher, who was really just the baseball coach teaching the class in order to remain as the coach. It's harder to get someone with this one. It's equally fun. I did this too, but left a couple of functioning icons on the desktop, so if they click on that, it worked fine. But if they click on the others, it strangely isn't working. Much head scratching ensues. Fun times. Story 9. My computers in my school had a network that linked all computers together. We had personal folders, so we could access and work on homework and things like that. What I did was upload emulators for the Game Boy Advance and Nintendo 64 on the public folder, along with tons of ROMs. They later called me to the library because they found games on my account. Turns out they saw my RuneScape program I used to work around the firewall, but they never searched the public folder. Ah, yes, finally, I knew someone was going to mention RuneScape. That site was also blocked in my middle school, and since I wasn't as tech-savvy as this guy, I just resorted to daydreaming about the game and sketching pictures of my character until I could get home and continue playing. Story 10. My friend and I entered into the operating system itself a virus that would essentially hunt through email accounts with .edu addresses, so all teachers and administration, and display a picture of two women doing the deed. If the operator clicked more than 10 times, a video started. If the operator clicked more than 20 times, the noise started. The only way to get rid of it was simple. Control, Alt, Delete, and use taskbar to shut it down. Not that complex, obviously. Although, to be honest, I didn't do a lot of programming. I did some of the basics, however. I mostly did a strategic planning of how we were actually going to get it done and implement it. My friend's dad was a programmer and hobbyist hacker, so he actually helped my friend design it. I still find it hilarious that his dad was willing to mess with the teachers. He must have really hated our school. However, most of the teachers didn't know that. They didn't know who did it, but it was hilarious. Story 11. Not at school, but at work. I wrote a script that called the Windows Task Scheduler and made my boss's mouse button slip around. Right button to left click, and left button to right click, every day at a fixed time. I did this about 2 months ago, and it clearly bugs him, but he hasn't been able to work out why. Story 12. My school district used Macs pretty much everywhere. A couple of the most common pranks. There was a key combination that would invert all the colors on the screen. If I recall correctly, it was all the meta keys and 8. It was a lot of fun to do this to someone who left their computer unattended and didn't know that. One of the function keys, I think F11, would move all the windows to the outside edge of the screen, showing the desktop. Pushing it again moved them back. But there was an animation associated with both of the movements. If you held Shift while tapping F11, it would do the same thing, but with the animation slowed down. The thing is, it didn't matter if the animation had completed or not, the machine would queue up another action for each time you hit F11, but wouldn't cancel the animation in progress. So if you were quick enough and someone wasn't paying attention, talking to their neighbor, looking at a book, etc., you could lean over, spam Shift F11 a few dozen times, and effectively force them to watch all their windows slide in and out at a snail's pace for a minute or two. The equivalent of this for me growing up was sticky keys. Hit Shift 5 times in a row on Windows, and it makes funny noises. Fun for the whole family. Story 13. Not me, but some guy has been updating a games folder on the school's public H drive. None of the teachers or tech supports guys can get rid of it or set it up so we can't use it. No one knows where it came from, except it's been there since forever. It has Counter-Strike 1.6, Day of Defeat, Halo CE, a Halo ODST simulator. It actually works. I too have questions. Roller Coaster Tycoon, Team Fortress Classic, Doom, KOTOR, Minecraft, Old School RuneScape,
I heard Team Fortress
ES,
Classic.
Morrowind, and a few
Yeah,
others.
watch like a video. It's like just it's from a YouTuber called Mainly Fact, and it's titled "What did you do to mess with the computers at school?"
I did not deliver since I don't think those games are wise.
What did I do? I took the screen upside down.
Right, I will leave it to you guys
That's
to
true.